served and tormented the Father is proper to burn in his sins. In the witness of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, his soul will fall below the valley of death, left to rot forever, to never be free, never return.
What's good? It is Zerilath Eternal. Welcome to the show. Today, we're going to run through the 10 Commandments by Malevolent Creation. That was the first 2 tracks we went through. So, I thought this was pretty apropos, and it was just like, yeah, you know what? Some MC. It's been a long time since I've rolled with some MC, so we're MCing it. Anyway, welcome to the show. We've got quite a bit to read. I'm going to try to do the 3-hour bit today. I don't want to skim it every show. I'm not trying to make a thing out of that. Just been doing that recently because of the way things line up. And to me, I want to have a little bit of a semblance of a jointed kind of episode, where the break-off points make a little more sense. All right. So we are here on page 157. So, all right, we're not even halfway through yet. That tells me. And just to take I'm just peeking into the future over here on the sidebar that you can partially see. 'Cause I'm pretty sure it was about 10 pages. Yeah. So we got about 10 pages. So we're going to start right here where it says Ar-Asi. Ar-Asi said the teaching of Ar-Akiba in the Mishnah refers to a patch of ground 6 spans square, excluding the corners. Rab said, the above Mishnah has reference only to an isolated patch of furrow of ground, but in a furrow surrounded by others, one cannot sow 5 kinds of grain, as it is necessary to have a space of 3 spans dividing one kind from the other. Are there not corners, however, to the furrow? The school of Rab explained, in the name of Rab, that reference is made to furrows into the corners of which grain had been sown. That gets my hair up. It's much more comfortable. Samuel, however, said, even in a furrow surrounded by other furrows, but will not the seed interfere one with another? Samuel refers to furrows which are planted alternately from north to east and from south to west. Mishnah 4. Ar-Akiba says again, whence the adduction that a woman from whom seed of copulation escapes only on the 3rd day after laying with her husband is unclean. From the passage, Exodus 19:15, and he said unto the people, be ready against the 3rd day, approach not unto a woman whence the adduction that a child may be bathed on the 3rd day of its circumcision, even if that day fall on a Sabbath. From the passage in Genesis 34:25, and it came to pass on the 3rd day when they were sore, whence the adduction that a string of crimson wool must be tied excuse me, on the head of the goat that was to be sent away. From the passage in Isaiah 1:18, though they should be red like crimson, they shall become white like wool. Whence do we adduce that anointing oneself on the Day of Atonement is equal to drinking? Although no positive proof is apparent, still a reference can be adduced from the passage in Psalms I want to say that's got to be 59, 69, maybe. Oh, geez, a C? Rarely do we get a C in the Roman numerals here. Little stuffy. Woo! And it cometh like water on his body and oil into his bones. There's a lot of really weird, convoluted passage references to that are involving just kind of, I don't know, oils, and then this is the period blood, but we're talking about that because of the eggs. So, I mean, like, it's a very odd connection, right? And they keep the secret. Like, they don't tell you why it's got to be this convoluted, and they can't just explain the principle. They just got to go, why is a raven like a writing desk? Gemara. The first part of the Mishnah, treating of a woman, is not in accordance with the opinion of Al-Elazar b Azariah, who declares her, the woman, clean in that case. The second part of the Mishnah, however, treating of bathing on the third day after circumcision, is in direct accord with his own words, as will be seen in chapter 19. Therefore, some rabbis claim that the first part of the Mishnah read clean instead of unclean, that the whole Mishnah is according to the opinion of Elazar b Azariah, but other rabbis claim that the first part of the Mishnah is according to the opinion of other Tanim, who differ with Elazar b Azariah, and the word unclean is correct. And they shall be ready against the third day. Exodus 19:11. Eda b Abba said, Moses went up to the Mount Sinai at daybreak and descended the following break-up day. He went up at break of day, as it is written in Exodus 34:4, and Moses rose up early in the morning and went up to Mount Sinai. He descended on the following day, as it is written in Ibid 19:24, go get thee down, and then shalt thou come up, thou and Aaron with thee. And we see the scripture compares the descending to the ascending, and as the ascending was early in the morning, so was also the descending early in the morning. So from dawn to dawn. The rabbis taught the Decalogue was given to Israel on the 6th day of the third month, but Aryosi said on the 7th day, said Rabbah, all agree that on the first day of the third month, the Israelites arrived at the wilderness of Sinai. It is adduced from the analogy of the word this. From the analogy of the word this? What is the analogy? This means that, like this, like you point at something and you give it a generic object name, this, right? Which the object, it's not even an object name. It's just to identify. So what are they talking about here? On this day they arrived at the wilderness of Sinai, and in Exodus 12:2, this month to go be to you the first of months, as in the latter instance of the this referred to the first, so does it also in the former. Furthermore, he said, all ages, that the law was given to Israel on a Sabbath. This is to be adduced from the analogy of the word remember. Exodus 20:8. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. And Ibid 3:3. Remember this day on which ye came out from Egypt, as in the latter instance, the very day of their coming out of Egypt is referred to. So it is also in the former instance where the rabbis do differ is what day was the first of the month. Ar Yosai holds that the first of the month was set on the first of the week, and on that day no commandments were given, because the children of Israel were tired from their long journey. And on the second day of the week the Lord said to them, Ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests. Exodus 19:1. On the third day of the week he commanded them to keep away from the mountain. So they would be a kingdom of priests. So they'd just be preaching to each other? If they're a kingdom of priests, who are they? Who are, so this is where slaves and everybody else who isn't them, and then they're sitting there just holding their religious universe together. And if you are in their world, if you're around them, you might be in their world, and thus there's a whole protocol to live by, right? So I can't look up Ibid 3:3, but I can look up Exodus 19:1. Let me take a quick look at it and see if it's worth throwing up on the screen. Exodus 19:1, right there, verse 1. Right? It's XIX. That should be 19. In the third month after the going forth of the sons of Israel from the land of Egypt, on this day they entered the wilderness of Sinai, when they journeyed from Rephidim and entered the wilderness of Sinai. Then they encamped in the wilderness. Elohim called from the mountain, saying, Thus unto you the house of Jacob, and to the sons of Israel, you have seen what I did for the Egyptians when I bore you under the vulture's wings and brought you to myself. Hold on a second. Oh, that's interesting. You have seen what I did to the Egyptians when I bore you on vulture's wings and brought you to myself. That's interesting. Of all the people of the mind of the earth, as for you, you shall be mine, kingdom of priests. Here we go. It's in the 6th verse. 19:6. That's where it actually is. But it's interesting. He makes this point about vultures, right? So let me see. You should be able to read that. Yeah. So as for you, you shall become mine, a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which you shall speak to the sons of Israel. All right. You shall become to me a kingdom of priests. The word is kenim. And Kohen. All right, so that's the Kenan. Kenim, as it is over here, is actually the Kohen. All right, so we understand that. The Cohen and the bloodline of Cohen. And I don't know if necessarily everybody named Cohen is of the bloodline of Cohen here. Because I'm sure there's a lot of people, they take names. And it's important for somebody to remember whose bloodline is what, right? Because that could have happened to me. Maybe I am not of Templar blood, right? But I do know that there are actual Templars that have this name, and I do know that I must be related to at least later Templars because of the Purdy's that came here with the nation's founding. That's the understanding of my male line origin. Okay, now, God of Vultures. This is where I like to play. Give me 1 second here. Let's see. I want to actually just ask. So, okay. God of Vultures. Egypt. Levant. Alright, let me see here. There's a vulture goddess named Nekhbet in Egyptian mythology, serving as the protector of Upper Egypt and the pharaohs, associated with motherhood and royalty. Oh. Roll. Patron goddess of the city of Nekheb, or El Kab, the protector of Upper Egypt. Iconography represented by a white griffin vulture, a woman with a vulture head, or a woman wearing a vulture's headdress. Symbolism, often showing hovering with outstretched wings over the pharaoh, holding the Shen ring eternity of the Jed pillar. Ooh. Two ladies, Mut connection. Later associated with the goddess Mut, who also utilized the vulture as a symbol of divine motherhood. Let's see. Some context. Vulture goddesses. Upper Nile doesn't seem to have any names, but that's... All right, Nekhbet. I think Nekhbet is the best bet. All right. So, let me get a... I want to make sure I get a good picture. Here, Nekhbet. Images. All right. Let me see here real quick. Can I... Properties. There we go. Just wanted to show real quick. This here's this is Google search results for Nekhbet. Yeah. That's a Skeksis. That is definitely a Skeksis. Why have I not heard of this bitch till now? We have to understand a thing or two about her. All right. Anyway, Nekhbet. So, fascinating when the attention comes to the matter, doesn't it? Anyway. On the third of the week, he commanded them to keep away from the mountain. On the fourth, to separate themselves from their wives. The rabbis, however, hold that the first of the month was set on the second of the week, that on that day nothing was commanded. The Israelites, they being tired, on the third, the cited passage, 19:1, was said, on the fourth day they were to keep away from the mountain, and on the fifth day to separate themselves from their wives. An objection was raised. It is written in 19:10, "Go unto the people and sanctify them today and tomorrow." And it puts a hyphen between to and day and to and morrow. Is this not contradictory to the statement of Ariosi, in whose opinion the sanctification lasted 3 days? Ariosi may explain this thus. Moses added 1 day upon his own authority. As we have learned in Eboretha, 3 things were done by Moses upon his own authority. And the Holy One, blessed be he, agreed thereto. They are, he added one day to the period of sanctification, he separated himself from a woman, and he broke the tablets into pieces. He added one day upon his own authority. What was that? What was his object? The Lord said unto him, today and tomorrow. And he construed the words as follows. Today must be equal in duration to tomorrow. As tomorrow includes the might, so must today the night. However, having already passed another day must be added in order to make up for the lost night. Sure, but if you're being that anal about it, you all know that this only works on equinoxes. And, yeah, it pretty much only works on the equinox. Because you're losing daylight. You know, you're best served, like, the 2 days of the height of the equinox is about what you're going to get it. Maybe the 2 days at the extremes of the solstices. But that's it. That's only 4 times a year where night and day are equal enough for your ritual to matter this anal retentively. Anyway, whence do we know that the Lord agreed to this? Because the Shekinah did not appear on Mount Sinai until the Sabbath morn. What was the object of Moses in separating himself from a woman? He applied the order given the Israelites to separate themselves from their wives to himself in a so much larger degree, i.e. the order having been issued to the Israelites for the reason that they would shortly hear the word of the Lord. It would be so much more proper for him, who frequently was spoken to by the Lord, to separate himself entirely from a woman. And whence do we know that the Lord agreed to this also? It is written in Deuteronomy 5:27 and 28, go say to them, return you unto your tents. But as for thee, remain thou here by me. And what was his object in breaking the tablets? He thought, concerning the Passover sacrifice, which is one of the 613 commandments, 613. We went from 10, and then we added 603. That's a whole lot of laws they don't like to tell you about. Kind of like the way our bureaucratic legal system would fuck us over on every little U-turn going down the street. Which is only one of 613 commandments. It is written in Exodus 12:43, no stranger shall eat thereof. How can I give the tablets that contain all the commandments to the children of Israel, who are now all renegades? And whence do we know that the Holy One, blessed be he, agreed even to this? It is written in Exodus 34:1, and the Lord said unto Moses, hew thyself 2 tablets of stone, like unto the third, and I will write upon these tablets the words which were on the first tables which thou didst break. Said Resh Lakish, which thou didst break really means which thou didst break rightfully? Dude, when they do the joke about the 15 commandments and then they break one of the 3 tablets, the 10 commandments, they're not fucking joking. This is exactly how Joseph Smith rewrote, like, Mormonism when he got called out the first time around with the fucking golden tablets that he found. It's the same fucking scam. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to laugh some more about this on the other side. Here's some more of malevolent creation and the 10 Commandments. You know, it's 613, pal. You're behind. You're behind on your studies. Hey, okay, there we go. Let me just coast through this advertisement and hit pause, and we're in good shape. All right, that'll be the next. Boom. Okay. So yeah, he threw thyself two tablets of stones like unto the first, and I write on those tablets and words to break. Is that right? Said Resh this now first break. So let me go let me go to Exodus 34:1 here. Let's take a look. Let's take a look there. We'll probably have to find it. It's probably not right there, but 34:1. Okay. So Yahweh said to Moses, carve for yourself 2 stone tablets like the first one, and I will write on the tablets the words which came to be on the first tablets which you broke. Yeah, it is. It's the same. Okay, so hold on. Let's go. Then I will take away. Okay, and he said, I shall pass. You cannot see my face. My glory passes. I'll overshow that. I shall not appear. Okay, so wait. When does he break the first one? So him, your presence, or why I shall be known. All right. When all the people saw the cloud. Okay, hold on. I think I'm there. Sons of Israel dispelled themselves. As for Moses, he took the tent and pitched it outside the camp, far from the camp, and he called it the tent of appointment. And it came to be that everyone seeking Yahweh went forth to the tent of appointment, which was outside the camp. Okay, so also it came to be, as Moses went forth to the tent, all the people rose and stationed themselves, each man at the opening of his tent, and looked after Moses until he entered the tent. Came to be entered the tent. The cloud column descended and stood at the opening of the tent, and he spoke with Moses. When all the people saw the cloud column standing with the opening of the tent, all the people rose and bowed themselves. And he spoke to Moses face to face, just as a man speaks to his associate. When he returned to the camp, then his minister, Joshua, son of Nun, a youth, did not remove himself from the midst of the tent. Okay. So hold on. So Yahweh spoke to Moses face to face, just as a man speaks to his associate. When he returned to the camp, then his minister Joshua, son of Nun, a youth, did not remove himself from the midst of the tent. Okay, that's interesting. So, was this a magic show? Was Joshua playing Yahweh? And it's just like, is this literally like, has anyone ever seen Yahweh and Joshua at the same place at the same time? Is it this? Is this what we're fucking looking at? And it's just literally like right here in the script? And how many times does a fucking soul read this and not imagine that that's a possibility of what they're doing? Which would not be so bad of a thing if it was the honesty of the animism of it, where the shaman is putting on the face of the god and so on and so forth. All right. You are saying to me, bring up the people, but you have not let me know whom you shall send me. And yet I pray unto your eyes. I'm still just trying to find where they broke the thing. And he said, my presence shall it go up, may give it rest to you. Right. Okay, so it's already broken by this point. So I have to go back further then. Let me go back to where's 1? Oh, Yahweh spoke to Moses, go up hence to the people whom you brought up from the land of Egypt, to the land about which I swore to Abraham, and I will send to you my messenger. I will drive out the Canaanites, the Amorite. Right, this is getting into that. And I shall bring you into a land gushing with milk and honey. And the people heard this evil word, they mourned, and no man shall set his ornaments on him. Yahweh said, for his sons of Israel spoiled themselves on their own ornaments and mount onward, camp appointments. Yeah, then there was the camp of. So, hence Moses said, consecrate yourselves today. something, yeah, okay. Hold on. Elohim chiseled on tablets. Hold on a second. I'm in the right area. They were the handiwork of Elohim writing. Okay. Okay. Here we go. We're in the area now. You should have. The Egyptian speaks, saying evil he brings. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, your servant. Okay. Go, leave me. Yahweh said, Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, they are stiff-necked people. They have withdrawn quickly from the way which I instructed them. Aaron with ears brought a carving tool, made it molten calf. Israel brought up to the land of Egypt. Said to them, tear off the... It shall be a sign of the on in 6 days, the heavens and the earth. Wait. Speaking with him on the mountainside. 2 tablets of the testimony and the stone written with the finger of Elohim. Okay, the people saw that Moses was tardy to descend from the mountain, so the people assembled themselves against Aaron and said to him, rise, make for us Elohim who shall go before us. For this Moses, the man who brought us up from the land of Egypt, we know not what has become of him. Then Aaron said to them, tear off the pendants of gold that are in the ears of your wives, your sons, your daughters, and bring them to me. So all the people tore off their pendants of gold. He took the gold from their hands and formed it with a graving tool and made of it a molten calf. And they said, these are your Elohim, Israel. See, these are your see how he even used it in a fucking sentence? These are your Elohim. These is a plural. Elohim is a plural of a plural. Meaning these gods are your personal pantheon of gods. And there were a cow, a calf. But he wouldn't have said these if there wasn't more than one idol. I think the calf is just what they're pointing out. I think they were doing not just Hathor. I think they were bringing back Ra and Horus. If they weren't bringing back Horus, then there's no need to tease them with a Messiah. Right? They need, they lost the Ra Hor Kahut, and they needed to create this Mashiach because they're not allowed to work with anything familiar that they know that came from their prior Sumerian origins before they wandered into the land of Egypt and looked for a welfare program. They were under a welfare program, like the Hasidic Jews today are in a welfare program. None of them work. They have elders who own businesses that they take their welfare money and then they spend their welfare money with their elder, and then their elder takes the amount of wealth that he keeps from that, and that goes kind of into the pool of the Jewish community to do their thing. Now, when, if these are not bad dude Hasidic Jews, then the exploitation of the system is about, you can't really complain when you look at how other people behave who just sit on welfare and don't get work. Right? And we are expected to believe that they were part of the labor force that built the pyramid. If they were ever part of the labor force that built the pyramid, they probably would have been given about a week to a month, and then the chief architects would have looked at Pharaoh and said, dude, nah, these guys, they ain't nothing. They ain't nothing, right? Anyway. So hold on a second. So is that the second tablet or is that the first tablet? Done. Hence the sons of Israel will keep the Sabbath between me. Now surely you speak the sons of Israel saying to my Sabbath. All right, I'm not gonna go look for. I'm way off at this point. Let's get back to the book. But you get my point about what I'm looking for, right? You know, as it's affirmed here and as is written. Yes. Now, is it that they don't record? Is there no record of how the breaking of the first tablet went down? And it's just a reference thrown at it later that nobody questions and has only come up because of how plans have changed and there's new things that Moses is now implementing? Another objection was raised. It is written in Exodus 19:11, and they shall be ready against the third day. According to Ariosi, it should be the fourth day. This is no objection, as it is said above that Moses added another day upon his own authority. Come and hear another objection. The sixth means the sixth of the weekend of the month. Is this not contradictory to the statement of the rabbis who say the first of the month was the second day of the week? Yes, it may be that. This Boretha holds to the opinion of Ariosi. Come and hear, on the 14th day of the month of Nisan, during which month the Israelites went out of Egypt, they killed the Passover sacrifice, and on the 15th day they went out. On the night before that the firstborn of the Egyptians were beaten, that the day the 15th was the 5th of the week. Now, if the 15th of Nisan was the 5th of the week, we must certainly say that the first of the next month, Iyar, was Sabbath, and the first day of the following month, Sivan, was the first day of the week. Is this not contradictory to the statement of the rabbis that the first day of the month was the second day of the week? The rabbis might have assumed that the month of Iyar was an intercalary month. Said Ar Habibi of Huzuna to Ar Ashi, come and hear it, is written in Exodus XL 17, 40 17, I want to say. And it came to pass in the first month of the second year, on the first of the month, that the tabernacle was reared up, and a Boretha teaches that this day was crowned tenfold. Via the day was the first of the 6 days of the creation, the first of the days of which the first prince presented his offering before the altar, the first of the days on which the priests of Aaron and sons did their work in the sanctuary, the first day on which the children of Israel brought their sacrifices into the tabernacle, the first of the days on which the heavenly fire descended upon the altar, the first of the days on which the priests were permitted to eat the sacrifices in the tabernacle, the first of the days on which the Shekinah appeared in the tabernacle, the first day on which Aaron, the high priest, blessed the Israelites in the tabernacle, the first of the days on which sacrifice were no more permitted to be brought on the high places outside of the tabernacle, and the first day of the first of the months. Right, the Shekinah, right, like I talked about how it's got that correlation to the kind of like the Wotanic consciousness, the Othan frenzy, right? Well, you know, like, that's always in its very, very savage kind of context, right? But, you know, when something has a magical charge, when the ritual has torqued the power, the nervous system has a reaction to the object and the environment of the object, which is also why all of these particularities to everything matter, whether it be the dimensions of the ark, the dimensions of the temple, so on and so forth. And there's certain uniformity of numerical code that is in their ritual work, in which all of this matters. And the more quantified or precise your measurements, the more materially manifest the ritual becomes, right? And having all of those materials, right? So the Shekinah, is subtle as well. It's just, it's feeling that energy of the presence of that spirit, right? And there's a number of things that put into place that create the atmosphere that's agreeable to us. There's science behind it, but that science doesn't dull the reality of the experience. And your life is much richer, not letting your scientific knowing of how it works destroy the mystery, because it doesn't dismiss the mystery just because you now have the science in which you understand it. In fact, it reinforces the power of the mystery. And that's part of the power of the confidence, that charisma that's amongst the necessary aspects of the charge of the magic. Let's see here. The first of the days that Aaron, the high priest, blessed the Israelites in the tabernacle. The first of the days in which the sacrifices were no more permitted to be brought on the high places outside of the tabernacle. And the first of the day, the first of the months. Now, if the first day of this year was the first day of the week, we must say the first of Nisan of the preceding year fell on the fourth day of the week, because we have learned in another Boretha, anonymous teachers say that there can be not more than 4 days difference between one New Year's Day and another. If a leap year intervened, then there may be a difference of 5 days. Is this not contradictory to the opinion of both the rabbis and Ariosi? According to Ariosi, there were 7 short months of 29 days in that year. But according to the rabbis, there were 8 such months. Consequently, the difference from the last year was only in 2 days, as this year was an extraordinary one, and the first day of the month, Iyar, of the last year, was on Friday. Another objection was raised. We have learned in the tract Siddur Alum that on the 14th day of the month of Nisan, during which month the Israelites went out of Egypt, they killed the Passover sacrifice. On the 15th, they went out, and that day was Friday. Now, if the first of the month of Nisan of that year was Friday, we must say that the first day of the following Iyar month was on the first day of the week, and the first of the succeeding month, Sivan, was on Monday. Is this not contradictory with Ariosi? Ariosi will then say that this Boretha is in accordance with the opinion of the rabbis. So, are they asking a question about what date it was in antiquity? Because remember, if they're calling something Friday, and that's the translation in the Talmud, is that they're using the word Friday. Because remember, this translation has not shied away from telling us things like the month of Nisan, so on and so forth. Right? So here's the question. How are these guys... Like, how did they fucking track the Sabbath before the 7-day week was invented? Right? You know, they, they would just have to count 7 days from a certain point to a certain point. So these are corollary words to stuff that, remember, what did they say earlier in this book? Astronomy. Right? At least at this time, being master astronomers is their shtick. And it's hard to understand how they're so anti-magic if they're going to be so hardcore astronomy for what purpose? Other than worshiping time, worshiping the motion of the heavens, which that is kind of a hint to their relationship with their Elohim. And this could be a more original relationship, right? Because I don't see nothing wrong with that. I would love to have enough pitch black clear nights to go fucking stare at all the stars, but it's always fucking light pollution. It's always, you don't get to see all the texture of all the freaking layers of twinklage going on out there, right? You can't catch like the Saddaloons floating overhead. Anyway, come and hear another objection, Ariosi said. On the second day, Moses went up on Mount Sinai and came back. The same he did on the third day, but on the fourth day when he came back, he came back and remained. Whence did he come back? It does not say that he went up at all. Say then, on the fourth day he went up, came back, and remained. On the fifth, he built an altar and offered a sacrifice. On the sixth, he had no time. Shall we assume that he had no time because on that day the Israelites received the Torah? If we say that the second refers to the second day of the week, it must be a fact that the Torah was given on Friday. Why would the Torah be given on Freya's day? You didn't call it Friday. That's the problem. You're looking at... it would be more, you got to figure out what day of the month it was. That's what you actually have to fucking figure out. None of the rest of this really fucking matters. And your day of the month needs to have its 13 corollary to your fucking moon cycle. Now, leave my Freya alone. Nay, he had no time because the Sabbath was at hand. A Galilean lectured in the presence of Arhista. Praised be the merciful God who gave a triple law, the Pentateuch, prophets, and the Hagiographa, to the triple people, the Kahanites, the Levites, and the Israelites, through a man who was the third child of his parents, Miriam, Aaron, and Moses. On the third day of sanctification and in the third month, we see from this that the Galilean held in accordance with the teachings of the rabbis. So, okay, there was a Miriam in the relationship there of them. The Hagiographa. I think I went over the name of that thing before, but I feel like I need to look at it again. Hagiographa. Or or the writings, is the third section of the Hebrew Bible following the Torah law and the Navim, the prophets. It includes Psalms, Proverbs, and the 5 Megillah, among others. Oh, okay. See, these are breakdowns of the Bible I actually didn't know. So you get the prophetic books, which are Psalms, Proverbs, and Job. You've got the 5 Megillots, the Song of Songs, Ruth, Lamentations, Ecclesiastes, and Esther. Ecclesiastes has been cited a lot in the Talmud thus far. Other books, Daniel, Ezra, Nehemiah, 2nd and 1st Chronicles, and such. Okay, all right. So the Hagiographa, why is it called... Okay. Why is it called Hagiographa? Hang on a second. Came from the Greek word meaning holy writings, and it refers to the third division of the Hebrew Bible known as the writing or the Ketuvim. The section includes various books that hold significant theological, historical, and literary value. Okay. So the Ketuvim. Greek word here, which translates to holy writing. It refers to the third section, historic context, Torah, the Nevi'im, and the Ketuvim. Okay, so the Ketuvim... Give me Ketuvim. Paste. No. Let's call it Ketuvim. Third section, horrible. This section is writing, or the Ketuvim is a chronicle. Biblical Hebrew. Okay, so Ketuvim, probably when this guy was translating the Talmud, he chose to write the Hagiographa instead of Ketuvim, unless the original Talmud said Hagiographa instead of Ketuvim for some reason. The Kahanites, Levites, and the Israelites. I thought the Levites were Israelites. And who are the Kahanites? Is that the Cohens? Nomadic, Mongolic. Oh. No. Not K, not KH, KA. Okay. A Galilean lectured in the presence of Adhista, praise the merciful God. Okay. The traditionalist Talmudism of Dugin's Neo-Eurasia. Kyanite meaning. I just want to know what the word means. What do Israel's widening political... Okay, the religious Zionists, the Kahanites, the settlers movement, they are disproportionately highly represented in the IDF, particularly in the infantry. Well, wow. So the Kahanites, whatever they are, they exist today and they're in the IDF. Israel's widening. What does traditional Talmudic Dugism? All right. Well, they're a group of people either way. They're a bloodline people situation. That's what you got going on. All right, we're going to go to a break. It's 9:06. Going into the next song here. This is Multiple Stab Wounds.
Nothing the sight of evil brass. Fighting out the Korean. Is inflicted on a suicide. Sickness, face slash. Beyond recognition. For a piece of fall from the skull. The destiny function. Bleeding eternally. Birthday shots of pain. And see. Subsequent mutilation. Find the best in a man. He's a burning with anger. Our bosom hell. Till death with die twitch. In the remains of the human shell. Filling up day and rise. With the soul physically satisfied. Psychotic. Deranged, abominated. Multiple stab wounds. Malignant, incarnated. Terminations to bite. Unwilling flesh. An infinite blood can never wait. People suffering this upon the side of real life. Agency is only one of finding it destroyed. Manage with the blame essential for the to the right. Deal abundance with the limit focus left behind. The one for the end of one of many men are two. Urban lighting to your living is a strategy.
You want to file free?
Pardon me there. I had to get a few things done. I'm sitting there and I'm just like, ah, damn. There goes the advertisement. That was definitely the end of it, right? Yeah, that was the end of it. Okay. All right. Got Candace. Candace is in the Candace Morin is in the chat. I wonder if Kahanites and Levitate and Israelites all are in IDF today. Well, the true answer is actually no, but the The believed answer by the world officially is yes. Such as in the article I was looking at that was saying that about Kahanites, right? But I mean, like, a lot of stuff was invented. The Book of Exodus is a suspicious book inserted into a suspicious book. Okay? And this is my point with all sorts of things. It's just like, what are the nature of these gods? Like the vulture, you know, Yahweh with his vultures. Like, when does Yahweh have vultures? His vultures. The Exodus story kind of sucks almost, because you get these people that they're not allowed to enjoy the pagan lifestyle that they were liking as Egyptites. And then they go into this whole new covenant situation, right? And it's a question of what it was like beforehand. How is it that their relationship had to change, right? And the convoluted ideas of what and who Moses really is. It gets into the whole thing. It's the Akhenatenism angle. It's the grift of trying to fashion into eventual monotheism, right? But anyway. It is written in Exodus 19:17, and they placed themselves at the front of the mount, said Ar Abadimi Bihama Bihasa. It appears from the passage that the Holy One, blessed be He, inclined the mountain towards the children of Israel and gave them the choice of either accepting the Torah or being buried right under the mountain. Said Ar Aha be Jacob. This would accord us the right to protest against any punishment inflicted upon us for violating the law, for we compelled to accept it, said Araba, although at that time they were compelled to accept it. At the time of Ahasuerus, king of Persia, they accepted it voluntarily, for it is written. See, like when the king of Persia, like all of these historical periods of times that did exist and that people that called themselves Jews were there, right? Like these people that were running around as Jews or whatever, it's just like they just had this mythology in this very small worldview where they were special because they didn't understand how literal they were taking these stories, because they'd kind of gotten lost in the sauce of knowing them by writing. And they kind of turned their whole families into cults of this kind of thing and started traditions right then and there with their family, like the way, like David Koresh, you know, who shouldn't have, you know, who maybe he did, like they say he didn't do nothing wrong with, you know, anybody, and that they kind of made up some of the personally bad shit, and that all of this was really just about the fact that he was making a parallel society where they could, like, live peaceably by their own rules and just go out to market when they cared to, but otherwise had each other. Kind of like a co-op agreement, but it happened to be kind of a religious thing too. And like, we had a very poor argument combined with a very, very faulty evidences for a crime. So they use the crime as an excuse to assault liberty, to assault freedoms, to assault rights, to do the whole dirty thing. Right? This was the dark ages of our concepts of freedom, right? The 1950s was a certain kind of dark age. The 1990s was a different kind of dark age. You could even say the 1970s was a dark age in its own way, but it was building the dark age of the 90s, but the 70s itself wasn't actually a dark age. But there was a lot of gritty filmmaking going on. That's for sure. Anyway. For it is written, Esther 9:27, the Jews confirmed it as a duty and took upon themselves and upon their seed, and it is to be explained. They took upon themselves voluntarily what at one time they were compelled to accept. Ar Simai lectured at that time when Israel sinned with the golden calf. 1,200,000 destroying angels descended and took them away, as it is written. Exodus 33:6. The children of Israel then stripped themselves of their ornaments they wore, and from time they wore from the time they were at Mount Horeb. Said Ar Hami Biar Hamaina. For in the same passage it may be deduced that in the same place where they were finished, they were taken away from them. Said Ar Yohanan, all of them were given as a reward to Moses, as immediately after the verse cited it is written, and Moses took the tent, etc. Said Resh Lakish, we hope, however, that the Holy One, blessed be he, will return them to us, as it is written in Isaiah 35:10, and thus ransomed of the Lord shall return and come to Zion with song, with everlasting joy upon their head. The expression everlasting means that it was already upon their heads at the time of reception of the Torah. Ar Elazar said, at the time the Israelites said, we will do, and afterwards we will obey a heavenly voice, Bath Kol was heard, which said unto them, who unfolded unto my children the mystery known only to the angels. For it is written in Psalm CII 20, blessed the Lord, ye his angels, mighty in strength, that execute his word, hearkening unto the voice of the Lord. And from this we see that only angels can execute first and then obey. Bath Kol, I want to know what this means, because I have an idea about what I think Bath and Kol mean from other times I have heard it. So let me see. Paste. In Judaism, a Bath Kol is a heavenly or divine voice which proclaims God's will or judgment. It signifies the Ruach HaKadosh, or serves as a metonym for God, but it differed essentially from the prophets. Hold on a second. Though these were delegates of, or mouthpieces of the Ruach HaKadosh. Okay, so yeah. So the Batkol, such is the voice of it's the booming voice of God kind of thing, right? Yeah. So heavenly voice, Batkol, but you want to make sure you fully understand the context of the thing, right? A Sadducee once noticed Rabbah studying and observed that he, in his absent-mindedness, held his Rabbah's finger underneath his knee and pressed it so hard that blood spurted from the finger. Said the Sadducee to him, "Impetus people, whose mouths precede your ears, ye are still of the same vehemence. Ye must first hear the Torah before you accept it, and not accept without knowing its prescriptions." Answered Rabbah, "We who are upright men trusted him, as it is said of us in Proverbs 11:3, the integrity of the upright guideth them. But to those men who are continually fault-finding, the latter part of the same verse, ibid, can be applied via, but the cunning of the treacherous destroyeth them." Our Samuel B. Namini, in the name of Arionathan, said, "It is written in Solomon's Song 4:9, Thou hast ravished my heart, O my sister, my bride. Thou hast ravished my heart with one of thy eyes." This means, when thou didst but receive the Torah, it was with one of thy eyes. When thou wilt obey it, it will be with both of thy eyes. Okay, sure, yeah. That kind of gets into the metaphysics of the eye that receives and the eye that delivers or projects, the receiving and the projecting eye. The right eye projects, the left eye receives. As everything is crossed, right? Right eye, left brain. Or the opposite, rather. Right brain, left eye. So on and so forth. Arya Hanan said, "It is written in Psalms LXV 12, the Lord gave happy tidings. They are published by female messengers, a numerous host." This implies that every word emanating from the mighty God was heralded in the 70 languages. The school of Arishmael, however, adduced the same from another passage. It is written in Jeremiah 23:29, "Is thus not my word like the fire, saith the Lord, and like a hammer that shivereth the rock? As the hammer that strikes emits a multitude of sparks, so is every word emanating from the Holy One. Blessed be he, heralded in the 70 different languages." So very important that it goes into 70 languages, right? Which, that right there is kind of a, that's kind of a hubris of authority, right? It's just languages that you don't speak have to obey your God. Right? Which, if they were truly striving for the universal intelligence, the great divine principle of things, such as what I consider the higher force of the Jinn region, it would not be so involved with dictating your lives in such a manner. Why are the words of the Torah compared to a noble? To inform us that inasmuch, and I think we might actually, this might all be, are we past the Sabbath stuff, or are we still technically on the Sabbath, right? Because this is supposed to be the assorted teachings of one particular rabbi through these conversations. So anyway, why are the words of the Torah compared to a noble? to inform us that inasmuch as a noble has in his power the disposal over life and death, so have also the words of the Torah. This is similar to what Rabbah said. To those who walk in the right ways of the law, it is an elixir of life, but to those who pursue not the right way, it is the poison of death. Okay, so, I think I understand that, but that transcends the Torah. The Torah is their stand-in for it, because there's so much that is going on that is not understood in the heart, and then you're going through these absurd ways of teaching it that are more confusing than anything. Yahashua B. Levi said, "It is written, Solomon's Song 112, a bundle of myrrh is my friend unto me that resteth on my bosom, said the congregation of Israel, Lord of the universe. Although my friend chastiseth me, still he resteth on my bosom." The same rabbi said, "It is written in Solomon's Song 5:13, his cheeks are as a bed of spices, a turrets of sweet perfumes, every wood emanating from the Holy One, blessed be he, fills the whole world with the aroma of spices." If the world was filled with the aroma arising from the first word, where could the second word go? The Holy One's, blessed be he, sent forth a wind from his store, which cleared off the aroma of each word as it is written in Ibid. His lips like lilies dropped with fluid myrrh. Do not read Shashanim, lilies, but Sheshonim, learned men. The same said again that from each word which came from the Holy One, blessed be he, the soul of Israel was going out as it is written in Ibid 6. My soul had failed me while he was speaking, but the Holy One, blessed be he, has let down the dew with which he will in the future make the resurrection and bring them to life, as it is written in Psalm LXV 33310. Rain of beneficence didst thou pour down, O God. He also said, when Moses ascended into heaven, said the angel before the Holy One, blessed be he, Lord of the universe. What has one born of a woman to do among us? The Lord answered, he came to receive the Torah, said the angel. Again, wouldst thou give a precious thing that thou hast preserved since 974 generations before the creation of the world to a being of flesh and blood? It is written, Psalms 8:5. What is the mortal that thou rememberest him, and the Son of Man, that thou thinketh of him, said the Holy One, blessed be he. Unto Moses, give thou them an answer, answered Moses before the Lord, Lord of the universe. What is written in the law, which thou gavest unto me? Exodus 22. I am the Lord thy God, who have brought thee out of the land of Egypt. Moses then said to the angels, were ye in Egypt? Have ye served Pharaoh? Of what use can the Torah be unto you? Further, what is written in the Torah? Ibid 3, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Are ye among the nations that worship idols? And furthermore, what is written in the Torah? Ibid 8, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Do ye any labor on the weekdays? Ibid 7, thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Are ye merchants that ye must swear? Ibid 13, honor thy father and thy mother. Have ye father and mother to honor? It's very interesting. I want to say, are ye merchants that ye must swear? and somehow being a merchant, it implies to me that to be a merchant forces you to swear, and if you're swearing, you're taking the Lord's name in vain. Because I guess the only way to swear is to swear in the name of the Lord, and you must not swear in the name of the Lord for business. Sure. Thou shalt not kill, etc. Is there any jealousy among you? Have ye any evil intent? Ah, you see, this is getting into something, because, of all the sins, killing is one of the ones you can't undo the damage of. One of the ones. Going through with the coveting of your neighbor's wife would be another one. Then the angels confessed and praised the Holy One. Blessed be he, as it is written, Psalms 8:10. O Eternal One, our Lord, how excellent is thy name on all the earth. But the ending of the verse, Ibid 2, thou who hast set the majesty above the heavens, is not cited in this verse. Then every one of the angels befriended Moses, and each of them disclosed some mystery to him, as it is written in Psalm LXV 3:19. Wait, LX 5, 6, it's LX 8. So that might be 48, I think, because I think the LX is for 40, or maybe 41. I don't know. Anyway, thou didst ascend on high, lead away captives, receive gifts among men, which means that because of first the angels called Moses one born of a woman, man, they at the close gave him gifts, and even the angel of death disclosed a mystery to him. As it is written in Numbers 17, 12, and 13, and he put on the incense and made an atonement for the people, and he stood between the dead and the living. Now, if the angel of death had not disclosed unto Moses this mystery, how could he have imparted it to Aaron? Okay, so here's a linchpin that they don't talk about. So Moses gets all this clout because all of these things, these events happened, witnessed by the people of the highest confidence, and they believe that Moses has this consort of angels that are informing him of the deep truth and mysteries. This is what gives him his special sauce, right? Where everybody needs to depend on him for answers that are right in the path. Said R. Yehoshua be Levi again, when Moses descended from heaven, Satan came before the Holy One, blessed be he, and said, Lord of the universe, where is the Torah? And the Lord answered, I have given it to the earth. Satan descended to earth and said to it, where is the Torah? And the earth answered in Job 28:23, God alone understandeth her way, and he knoweth her place. Satan then went to the sea, and the North Sea said, she is not with me. He then went to the deep, and the deep answered, not in me is she. As it is written in Ibid 14, the deep saith, not in me is she, and the sea saith, she is not with me. Notice all these female pronouns for these things. These are all goddesses, or at least Titan type of spirits. Perdition and death say, with our ears have we heard a report of her. Satan then ascended before the Holy One, blessed be he, and said, Lord of the universe, I have looked for the Torah on the whole earth and could not find it. Satan then ascended before the Holy One. Once again, further proof of the ridiculousness of Satan versus God in the oversimplification of the Christian's mind. Is this the oversimplification of the Muslim's mind too? All right, there it is in the Torah. See, this is why we're here. This is why we're reading the book. All right. Then said the Lord unto him, Go unto the son of Amram. And Satan went to Moses and said to him, Where is the Torah, which the Holy One, blessed be he, gave unto thee? And Moses answered, but Moses is now talking to Satan. Isn't this fucking precious? Who am I that the Holy One, blessed be he, should give me the Torah? Said the Lord unto Moses. Moses, art thou a liar? Said Moses before the Lord. Lord of the universe, shall I claim that thou hast given unto me a precious thing which thou didst fondle every day? Fondle? It's quite the choice of words there, sir. Fondling? I don't know if that's the relationship I would have with the Torah. Said the Holy One, Blessed be he unto Moses, because thou hast humbled thyself. The Torah shall bear thy name, as it is written in Malachi 3:22. Remember ye the law of Moses my servant. In short, I think what he's saying, and I'm going to look at Malachi in a second here and see if it confirms what I'm going to assume, is that this is saying that God has told Satan that Moses is the Torah. And this is how Moses finds out that he is the Torah. It's his word. It is the word of him. Right? And, you know, this obviously, like, because the Pentateuch is like the books of, it's always like the books of Moses, right? It's not the books of Abraham. Okay. Where are we going here? We're going to Malachi, which is 3. Malachi's a short one. 3:22. Sorry. 13, 14, 15, 16. What? Malachi, wait. I'm in the wrong spot. Malachi 3. Doesn't go up to 22. Is it in Malachi 4 then? Must be Malachi 4. Because it's telling me Malachi 3:22. Where'd it go? But Malachi 3 doesn't go to 22. So that's throwing me off. So I think I have to be in Malachi 4 to find it. And I have to count in a funny way. So if I goes up to 18. So then I have to be in Malachi 4, I guess. Remember the law of Moses, my servant, which I instructed him in Horeb for all Israel, the statutes and ordinances. Behold, I will send to you Elijah the prophet, and he will restore to... Okay. Son, the righteous, the wicked. You will return and discern between the righteous and the wicked. Save Elohim, and what gain it is that we keep his charge and that we walk somberly in view of Yahweh's host. And I rebuke you, the devourer. Right? For I, Yahweh, do not alter you. Sons of Jacob are not consumed from the days of your father. You have withdrawn from my statutes and have not kept Then return to me. Let me return to you. In a way we shall return. Will a human defraud Elohim? For you are defrauding me. All right. All right. Sure. Yeah, it's just pretty simple. It's just saying that it's presuming that because of this statement in Malachi 4:4 or 3:22 that that Moses is the Torah. Well, anyway, that's the most important thing to know right now, is that that's what Talmudic Jews likely agree with and believe. The same rabbi said again, when Moses ascended unto heaven and he was silent, the Lord said unto him, Moses, is there no peace in the city? And Moses answered, it is then proper that a slave should salute his mother, said the Lord. Still thou shouldst have wished me well. Then said Moses before the Lord, Numbers 14:17, and now I beseech thee, let the greatness of the power of the Lord be made manifest as thou hast spoken. A string of crimson wool, etc. Did not the passage say, Kashanim, like years, and not like crimson? For were it like crimson, it would read Kashani, said Ar-Itziak. The passage is thus to be explained. The Lord said unto Israel, if your sins all lie before me as the year that have passed since the creation, they shall nevertheless become white as snow. All right. Did I speak right through the 9:30 mark? Because I feel like I have robbed myself of a break. Hang on. No, not here. Where is... Yeah. Hang on. If I go backwards... Where is the time mark? See, it's not giving me a time mark on my stupid thing. I think I did. All right, I'm going to take a break here. All right, we're going to take a break anyway, whether I'm right or wrong. Let's go to the next song. 1991, man. That was a hell of a fucking time for death metal to come on the fucking scene, right? That's like, you know, like death had hit, and then like everybody amped it up because of death. Excellent. All right, we're back. All right. The same rabbi said again, when Moses ascended unto heaven, and he was silent, the Lord said unto him, Moses, is there no peace in the city? Oh, I'm sorry, that's right. The slave, yeah, and then Moses answered, as written, prophet, slave should salute his master, said the Lord. Still, thou shouldst have wished me well. Then said Moses before the Lord, Numbers 14:17, and now I beseech thee, let the greatness of the power of the Lord be made manifest as thou hast spoken. A string of crimson wool, etc. Did not the passage say kashanim, like years, and not like crimson? For were it like crimson, it would be read kashani, said Aritziak. The passage is thus to be explained. The Lord said unto Israel, if your sins all lie before me as the years that have passed since the creation, they shall nevertheless become white as snow. Rabbi lectured, it is written in Isaiah 1:18, go now, and let us reason together, said the Lord. It should not read, go now, but come now, and not saith the Lord, but said the Lord. So there's why is that an important distinction? That's getting right into the weeds of the literalism of it, right? So said versus saith. Now, unfortunately, people are like this. So, meaning of word saith. So it's an archaic form of the word say, specifically the third person singular present tense. It is often found in older texts such as the King James Bible, where it is used to mean says. Okay. Let me get Merriam-Webster saying it specifically. Hang on. Archaic present of right, like what say you, right? Saith Merriam-Webster. It just wants to say that saith is an old way of saying say. I mean, yes, but all right. Especially when subject follows said. Especially when subject follows says. To express in words. To state as opinion or belief. Right, obviously. Indicate, show, communicate, suppose, assume. To express oneself. All right, one more time. Let me go to... and say, like... Actually, hold on a second. Maybe I can make... I think it's the tense. It's the like, it's present tense. Right? Saith is like present tense. Go now and let us reason together, said the Lord. It should not read go now, but come now. And not saith the Lord, but said the Lord. So, come now, which that makes sense. Well, let me see what it actually says in Isaiah 1:18. It's very interesting, and Isaiah is a very interesting thing. 1:18. Hang on. 1:8. Isaiah 1. Oh, I did that backwards. Isaiah 1:18. All right, it actually says "come now" here in the interlinear. Okay, that's cool. Let me pull up interlinear. Come now and let us have it corrected, Yahweh is saying. If your sin becomes like scarlet as snow, they shall be white. If they are red as crimson as wool, shall they come. So this one is saying that the word being used is corrected. Let us have it corrected. As opposed to come now, let us reason together. So, the word is unuksha. Unuksha? Primitive, to be right, correct, reciprocal, to argue causatively, to decide, justify, or convict. So, if this is the proper word, then this isn't about reasoning. This is about me giving you the reason, but it's me saying I am the authority of the reason. It's like when we show up somewhere and I understand what's going on and what things are, and you don't. And I tell you, don't do that here, bad thing will happen. Right? I'm telling you that because you really don't know that I know that you don't want to go through the consequences of what happens if you try to do that, because you're going to get fucked up. Right? And you can apply that to any fucking scenario in general. Hey, what's up, Telonius? Left my tube on autoplay, and I come home to why some more Babylonians with a Z. I know, right? Aren't I just the thing? I must be getting favored in the algorithms. Oh no, don't delete it. Don't delete it. Just hide it. Thank you. Okay. The passage should be explained in the future, and the Lord will say unto Israel, go to your ancestors, and they shall rebuke you. And Israel will say before the Lord, Lord of the universe, to whom shall we go? Shall we go to Abraham, to whom thou hast said, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land which is not theirs, and they will make them serve? And he did not pray for us? Shall we go to Isaac, who, when blessing Esau, said in Genesis 27:40, and it shall come to pass that when thou shalt have the dominion, thou canst break his yoke from off thy neck. And he also did not pray for us. Shall we go to Jacob, to whom thou didst say in Genesis XL 6:4, I will go down with thee into Egypt, and not even he prayed for us, to whom shall we go now? Then the Lord will say unto Israel, inasmuch as ye have attached yourselves to me, through your sins should be as scarlet, they shall become white as snow. So, I mean, there's a whole blood to purity kind of thing that they're trying to wrap their heads around in conduct, piecing together from all these different places relevant to Moses and aspects of Genesis. Said Ar Samuel B. Nameni in the name of Ar Jonathan, it is written in Isaiah LX 3:16, for thou art our father, for Abraham knoweth nothing of us, and Israel recognizeth us not. Thou, O Lord, art our Father, our Redeemer, from everlasting is thy name. In the future of the Holy One, blessed be he, will say to Abraham, thy children have sinned before me. And Abraham will answer, let them be wiped off the face of the earth for the sake of the holiness of thy name. The Holy One, blessed be he, will then say, I shall tell this to Jacob, who had trouble in rearing his own children. Perhaps he will pay for the present generation. The Lord said to Jacob, thy children have sinned before me. And Jacob gave the same reply as Abraham. Then said the Lord, not with the aged can feeling be found, nor with the young wise counsel. The Lord then said to Isaac, thy children have sinned before me. Then said Isaac before the Lord, creator of the universe, thou sayest, my children are they not thine? When they answered me before thee, we will do and then obey. Thou calledst them my son, my firstborn, and now they are my children and not thine. And furthermore, how long a time have they sinned before thee? Let us see, what is the duration of a man's life? Only 70 years. Take off the 20 years that thou dost not punish for sin, and only 15 remain. Take off the nights, and only 25 full years remain. Deduct again 12 years and 6 months spent in praying, eating, and in the performance of other necessities. Only 12 and 1/2 years remain. If thou wilt bear the whole, it is well, but if not, let me bear half, and thou the other half. If thou wilt say that I must bear the whole, did I not sacrifice myself for thee? That gets into the whole sacrificing of time and effort, right? Where you're breaking down, your life is really like kind of a 70-year situation. And then, we live much older to 70, but, after 70, like, you could be you could have all sorts of things become a factor real quick, right? I can't wait till this body starts fucking breaking down, right? This is, Thor will have his battle with what's her name? The Jotun of Time, right? And this is about time. This is all Saturnian. This is Saturnian as fuck, right? Then Israel said unto Isaac, for thou alone art our father, said Isaac unto them. Instead of praising me, praise ye the Holy One. Blessed be he. And he pointed them on high with his finger. There is the Lord. Then they lifted up their eyes unto heaven and said, thou, O Lord, art our Father, our Redeemer, from everlasting is thy name. Arhaya bi Abba said, in the name of Ar Yohanan, Jacob deserved to go down into Egypt in iron shackles, because that is the usual way of going into exile. But his merits precluded such a thing, as it is written, with human cords I ever drew them forward, with leading strings of love, and I was to them as those that lift off the yoke from their jaws, and I held out unto them food. Hosea 11:4. Which, once again, it continues this slave-master relationship with that kind of, like, oh, I set you free from your last master. I'm your master now. You will know freedom by your slavery to me. Aren't you impressed by my calendar system? Gemara. Have we not learned this already? Reeds split as much as will suffice to cook an egg. In that case, we must assume that the reeds could not be used for any other purpose but wood, which can be put to a multitude of uses, as for instance to make the handle for a key, should be limited to a smaller quantity. He comes to teach us that the same quantity also applies in this case. All right, we're going to take a break here and go and do nutshells, right? Like, it's, I know this was a short segment here, but honestly, I skipped over the thing, and so it was running late in the first place. So we're going to go to the next song in the thing. And this is Thou Shall Kill. And I think that there could be a commercial. So I'll have to fix it.
Granger knows that if you're a school custodian, cleanliness is your top priority.
All right, sorry about that. I knew I was muted. I wasn't talking because I was waiting for. Oh, look at these unskippable ads. I wasn't even sure if I had gotten to the end of the song. I was looking up something. Yeah, no, that was the end of the song. All right, cool. Anyway, all right, we got through the ads. No, I was just looking up the whole thing. I was just trying to remember the damn Jotun's name, because it was not the Jotun of aging or time that killed her. It was the world serpent that killed Thor. Thor never died. He was just defeated. He was defeated by her, but not killed. No, not Jord. Why would you think Jord? Everybody knows this. Except for me, who's supposed to know it. Oh my god. Thor versus old woman. Because the internet wants to be stupid and not understand my question. Oh, Ellie, subset Ellie, or the old age Ellie. But you know, I find it interesting. Like, we say it's the Jotun of old age, but also its name is El. He's fighting an El in that respect, right? This and El being a Jotun from the east, right? And so Jormungandr is also a manifestation of the Ouroboros as the world. So old age is a factor of Jormungandr, and just as and both of them, but Ellie is more related to time, whereas Jormungandr is kind of like, he is the threat of the time, right? Because Ellie either isn't going to destroy Jormungandr, or is perhaps in cohorts with Jormungandr. Perhaps they are related in that respect, right? And this gets into the mythology of dying, of aging, and things of this nature. Hold on a second. What are you? Some little bug. Ugh. All right. Well, you're gone now. Yeah, so yeah, like if you enter into a time which is a post-strength time, which, you know, that'll creep up on all of us, and it'll creep up on a generation, right? We're rising as another generation has weakened itself, as it's dying out, and the children of the next generation are doing their things to make things free, so on and so forth. Nutshells, etc. Is this not a contradiction to what we have learned elsewhere, that dyes may not be carried in quantities sufficient to exhibit a sample of the color in the market, said Ar-Nahman in the name of Rabba B. Abuhu, because one will not take the trouble to make dyes sufficient only for a sample. Native carbonates, etc. A Boretha, in addition to this, states that coming from Alexandria but not from Anfantrin, vegetable soap, ash leg, said Samuel. I have inquired of a number of seafaring men, and they have told me that the name for it is ashalgo. It is found in the shells of a pearl oyster, and it is extracted with iron needles. Ashlig, ashalgo. But they were also talking about dye over here. Carried in quantities. So that's kind of interesting, and it makes me think of the whole issue with the purple. Mishnah 6, the prescribed quantity for aromatic pepper. Pimento is the least possible amount. For tar, it is the same. For different kinds of spices and metals, it is also the same. For the stone and the earth of the altar, torn pieces of the scroll of laws, or it covers it, also the same, because such things are generally preserved by men. Ad Yehuda said the same quantity applies to everything pertaining to the worship of idols, because it is written in Deuteronomy 13:18, and there shall not cleave to thy hand aught of the devoted things. Gemara, to what use can such a small quantity of pepper be, but it may be used by one whose breath is foul? For tar, for what purple dye is also the same, and for roses, only one rosebud. And metals, of what use are they? We have learned by Simeon B. Elazar said they can be used to make a goad, the torn pieces of the scroll of laws. Samuel Ad Yehuda, bookworms, silkworms, vine worms, date worms, and pomegranate worms are all dangerous to human life. There was a disciple sitting before Ad Yohanan eating dates, and the disciple said to him, Rabbi, there are thorns in the dates. Said the rabbi, the date worm, Pa, has killed this man. Thorns in the dates. So probably the thorns, maybe those are like eggs of the worms or something. And the guy had a bad one. He bit into some wild date. He didn't look at it first. He didn't check it out first. He didn't make sure the tree was healthy, right? He was unwise. One who carries the chest of spices, spice dealer, the chest of a spice dealer is liable for one sin offering only, although there may be many spices in the chest. The prescribed quantity for garden seeds is the equivalent in size to a dried fig. Ad Yehuda B. Bath Ira said 5 different seeds. The prescribed quantity for customer seeds are 2. For pumpkin seeds, the same. For Egyptian beans, the same. A living locust which may be eaten, be it ever so small, must not be carried, but dead locusts may be carried in quantities less than a dried fig. The prescribed quantity for vineyard birds, living or dead, is the smallest possible quantity, because they were preserved for medicinal purposes. Ad Yehuda said one must not carry out a living locust, which must not be eaten, be it ever so small, because such locusts were kept as playthings for small children. Interesting. Children that played with locusts? Is this because it like the locust is like it delivered us from Egypt with their plaguing, and so there are pets? Is that what that is? Cucumber seeds. The rabbis taught the prescribed quantity for seeds used for planting is 2, but seeds used for food is the equivalent for a pig's mouthful. How much is a pig's mouthful? The seed of 1 cucumber? For cucumber seeds used as fuel, the prescribed quantity is as much as will suffice to cook an egg. For cucumber seeds used as counters for figures, only 2 anonymous teachers say 5. The rabbis taught one who carries 2 hairs from the tail of a horse or a cow is culpable because the hairs are always preserved for making nets. The prescribed quantity for hog bristles is only 1. For willows used for wickerwork, 2. For tree bark, 1 strip. Ugh. You see, once again, it's getting into all these absurdities of carrying very little thing of stuff and very specific numbers of small amounts of things of stuff permissible. Ar Yehuda says a locust which must not be eaten, etc. Why did not the first Tana of the Mishnah mention this? Because in his opinion, it is forbidden to carry it even on weekdays, lest one eat it. If such is the case, why should an eatable locust be allowed to be carried? Yeah, I mean, is the locust, how many of you guys need locusts around that you are tempted to eat? This locust needs to be about something else, right? Because it's 2026. A Talmudic Jew doesn't need to worry about whether he's eating locusts or not, unless he has to eat locusts for other reasons. And thus you need laws about it because you don't want to always eat locusts. And some people might do that. And so you make laws about it instead of just teaching people good nutritional value and things. It's weird. People are weird, man. These people are weird. They're eating locusts. Like Alice Cooper in The Prince of Darkness. But anyway. Arihuda says a locust which must not be eaten. Right, I already read all. The Kahana Rab locust lighted up okay, so hold on. Because in his opinion, forbidden to carry one unless one eat it. If such is the case, why should an eatable locust be allowed to be carried? Did not Ar Kahana stand before Rab and the small locust lighted on his lips? Rab said to him, Ar Kahana, take it away, lest people say that thou hast eaten it and thou hast violated the commandment. Leviticus 11:43. Ye shall not make yourself abominable with any creeping thing that creepeth. Nay, there was no fear that the locust would be eaten alive, but they apprehended lest it died and then be eaten. An eatable locust would not matter, but an uneatable locust would be a violation of the law. So if you kill it, it becomes edible, is what they're saying. If that is the case, why does Arihuda permit this? Arihuda holds that there is no fear of the locust being eaten when dead, as the child will mourn its death. Well, apparently the Romans enjoyed Caucasus larvae as a delicacy, and even fed them wine and bread to fatten them. Fascinating. Okay, and then here's the footnotes on the chapter. You can take a look at that for yourself. It's another page of it. All right. And then here's chapter 10. Let's take a look at this and whoops. Sorry. Move up there. So we got 1, 2, let's see. So there's 9 pages to chapter 10. All right. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to read through a good third to maybe a half of chapter 10, and then it'll be 11 o'clock by that point, in which case I'll let you guys go upon that encroached third hour. So this will be our last song of the evening. It's not only like halfway through the album. So this is going to be called Sacrificial Annihilation. My bad. Let me take that back a hint. There we go. I had the speakers cut. Right. Damn, this is a good album. This is a really fucking good album. Anyway. Bang. Let's read some chapter 10. The further regulations concerning the prescribed quantity of things to be stored. Okay. Mishnah 1. One who had stored anything for planting, sampling, or medicinal purposes before the Sabbath and carried out of it out into public ground on the Sabbath, be it ever so small a quantity, is liable for a sin offering. Anyone else, however, is culpable only then if he carried out the prescribed quantity. Even the one who had stored is culpable only for the prescribed quantity if he brought the thing carried out by him back to private ground. Gemara. For what purpose is it said in the Mishnah, one who stored anything, would it not be sufficient to say, one who carried out things intended for planting, sampling, or medicinal purposes? Be the quantity ever so small is culpable, said Abaya. The Mishnah treats of the case of a man who, after storing the thing, forgot for what purposes he had stored it, and then carried it out into the street for any purpose whatever, lest one say that the original intention to store it is abolished, and now the thing carried out has for him only the same value as for others, and he would be culpable only for carrying out the regularly prescribed quantity. It comes to teach us that one who commits a deed executes his original intention. Ar Yehuda said, in the name of Samuel Armiar, declares one who carried out only a single wheat grain intended for sowing culpable. Is this not self-evident? The Mishnah taught, be it ever so small. One might presume that the term, be it ever so small, denotes something smaller than a dried fig, but one smaller than an olive. Armeyer therefore informs us that it refers even to one wheat grain. Ar Itzchak, the son of Ar Yehuda, opposed this. We see that the Mishnah declares one culpable for an act originally intended to be performed, but now supposing a man intended to carry out his entire household at once, is he then not culpable until he had accomplished the entire task, even if he had carried out part of it? The answer was, if a man has an absurd intention, it is abolished by the law, and he is culpable for carrying out the prescribed quantity. Anyone else, however, etc., our Mishnah is not in accordance with that of our Simeon B. Elazar. Rabbah in the name of Ar Nachman said, if one carried out a thing the size of a dried fig with the intention of eating it, but changed his mind in the meantime and then intended to sow it, or on the contrary, first intended to sow it and then to eat it, he is culpable. Is this not self-evident? The prescribed quantity for both eating and sowing was carried, lest one say that the removing and the depositing of a thing must be done with the very same intention in order to make one culpable, which is not so in the case. He comes to teach us that he is culpable. Imagine how judgmental these guys are about, like, human behavior. Like, it's just like, oh, if he was a Jew that had to honor the Sabbath, oh man, he'd be so, like, man, I just want to make him fucking sin offer all fucking day for his fucking way he picks his nose and sows it. You know what I mean? I mean, you can just see how this would translate, right? Because, you know, like I said, some of these protocols, just the whole layout of it, just sickeningly reminds me of the pandemic, right? And I think I think that there were plenty of people, unlike 9/11, that will never forget how things were like. Because after 9/11, we treated each other badly over some things, right? Like every Arab and every Sikh and every Hindu all of a sudden was a terrorist, and all this horrible shit, right? And there was a lot of negative energy that got released into the world and has been projected for a long time since. And this time with the pandemic, there was a huge portion of the populace that had the reaction that neither side of the duality wanted. And they still got a whole lot of people that haven't, quote, woken up, but at the same time, the entire metric of consciousness has shifted to where the sleeping masses are now in a dream that is filled with opportunities to break your ontological assumptions. You could walk through any kind of door of perception on the internet right now and get a amended understanding of the world through knowledge. Okay. If he brought the thing, etc., is this not self-evident? For he did not sow it. We then see that his original intention is abolished, said Abaya. The Mishnah speaks of a case where the man took the thing brought from his house and threw it into the place where his full supply was kept, and the place where he threw it remained conspicuous, lest one say, if the place is conspicuous, his original intention is not yet abolished. Yet, is not yet abolished, because he took the same thing again. It comes to teach us that the throwing of the thing among his other supplies annulled his original intention. Mishnah 2, if one intended to carry out victuals and deposited them on the doorstep, whether he afterwards carried them out into the street himself or this was done by someone else, he is not culpable, because he did not accomplish the deed at one time. If one deposited a basket of fruit on the outside doorstep, even if the bulk of the fruit was on the outside in the street, he is not culpable unless he carried out the entire basket into the street. Gemara, what kind of doorstep does the Mishnah have reference to? Should we assume that the doorstep was public ground? How can the man be not culpable? He carried him out from private into public ground. Should we assume that the doorstep was private ground? Why does the Mishnah teach that if he carried it out into the street or anyone else, he is not culpable? It is, again, a case of carrying out from private into public ground. We must therefore assume that the doorstep was unclaimed ground, and it comes to teach us that only when the victuals were deposited on the unclaimed ground into the market by way of the alley is culpable, but Ben Azai says he is not. If one deposited a basket of fruit, etc., said his kaya, the case in question treats only of a basket filled with cucumbers and beets, but if full of mustard seed, he is culpable. This is, we see, the Hezekiah considered a vessel, no support, i.e., cucumbers are encircled by the basket and need no support. But the mustard seed, which are heaped up, are outside of the basket, proper and not supported by it. Therefore, when the basket with mustard seed is carried outside, part of the mustard seed are already on the outside and the carrier is culpable. Yohanan, however, says even if the basket contained mustard seeds, he is also not culpable. Thence, we see that Yohanan does consider a vessel a support, said Zera. How is it with the Mishnah? It is neither of the opinion of Hezekiah nor of Yohanan. Hezekiah may explain it in accordance with his theory, and Yohanan with his own. Hezekiah explains the Mishnah, which said, unless he carries out the entire basket. This is the case if the basket is filled with cucumbers and beets, but if filled with mustard seed, it is equal to putting out the entire basket into the street, and he is culpable. It is so fucking asinine with, because a lot of this is just condemning you by intentions, by saying your behavior as thus meant intentions as thus. And because we give two shits about the government of Babylon, we do this. What a horrible fucking thing to hold on to be honest with you. Like, this is just human beings shouldn't act like this. That's all I'm saying. Although the bulk of the fruit is on the outside, or even if all the fruit were on the outside, the man would not be culpable unless the entire basket was put on the outside. So also said Rabbah, the Mishnah treats only of a basket filled with cucumber and beets, but if filled with mustard seeds, the man is culpable. Once we see that he does not consider a vessel a support, Abaye, however, said, even if the basket contained mustard seeds, the man is also not culpable. Whence we see that he does consider a vessel a support, shall we say that Abaye adopted the system of Rabbah and Rabbah of Abaye, or Abaye contradicts himself and Rabbah does the same? As it was taught, one who carried out fruit into public ground, Abaye said, is culpable only if he carried it out with his hand, although the body remained in public ground. But if in a vessel, he is not culpable. Why? Because Abaye does not consider the body a support to the hand, in spite of the fact that the hand is attached to the body. But if he carried out the fruit in a vessel and part of the vessel still remained in private grounds, he is not culpable. And Rabbah says, on the contrary, if he carried the fruit out in his hand, he is not culpable, because he considered the body a support, and the hand is part of the body. But if he carried it out in a vessel, he is culpable, because although the vessel is still in private ground, some of the fruit is in public ground. The answer is reverse the case. Abaye's statement should be Rabbah and Rabbah's Abaye's, or something. That was a highly convoluted explanation. That was friggin' convoluted. Mishnah 3. One who carries out anything in the right or in the left hand or in his bosom or on his shoulder is culpable, as so was the manner in which the sons of Kahath carried their burdens. But one who carries out a thing on the back of his hand or with his foot, with his mouth, with his elbow and with his ear, with his hair, with his waist bag, the opening of which is at the bottom or between his belt and his shirt, with the edge of his shirt, with his shoe or sandal, is not culpable because he carries it in an unusual manner. Oh, so just because it's unusual? So can I then travel between prohibited boundaries if I'm registered with the Ministry of Silly Walks and I used my authority of silly walking? And as long as I walk silly, I won't be in violation of your laws? Gemara Elazar said, one who carries out a burden 10 spans above the ground, not on his shoulder, but in the air, is culpable because in the manner the sons of Kahath carried their burdens. Whence do we know that the sons of Kahath carried their burdens in this way? It is written in Numbers 3:26, which is by the tabernacle and by the altar round about. Hence, he compares the tabernacle to the altar. As the tabernacle was 10 ells, so was also the altar 10 ells. And whence do we know that the tabernacle itself was 10 ells? Because it is written in Exodus 26:16, 10 ells shall be the length of the boards. Or we may say that we know that the sons of Kohath carried their burdens in this manner from the ark, as the master said the ark was 9 spans high, and with the cover, which was 1 span higher, it was 10. Experience is to the effect that when a burden was carried on the shoulders by means of poles, 1/3 of the burden was above the poles and 2/3 below. Then, as the ark was 10 spans high and 1/3 of it was carried above the shoulders, it was certainly more than 10 spans above the ground. But let it be inferred from Moses himself, of whom it is said elsewhere that he was very tall. With Moses, the case is different, as the master said elsewhere that the Shekinah does not rest upon a man unless he is a scholar, a strong, rich, or tall man. Okay. It was taught one who carries a burden on his head is not culpable, and if one who will say that the inhabitants of the city of Hutzal do so, we may assume that their deed is abolished by the rest of mankind who do not carry burdens on their heads. Mishnah 4. One who intends to carry something in front, but the thing moved to his back is not culpable. But if he intends to carry it on his back and it moves to the front, he is. Of a truth it was said, a woman who wears a girdle, whether she carries something in the front or in the back of it, is culpable because the girdle invariably turns around. Ar Yehuda says the same rule applies to letter carriers. Where is the difference? The main object here is the intention, and in either case, his intention was not carried out. Why is he culpable if the thing moved from the front to the back, and culpable if it moved from the back to the front? Said Ar Elazar. Divide the Mishnah into 2 parts. The second part was not taught by the same Tana as the first, said Arashi. Aha! Well, this fucking excuses everything. Anyway, this is no question at all. Perhaps the Mishnah may be explained thus. He says it's no question at all, but then he says maybe. Maybe is a qualifier of doubt, meaning you can question it. Not only did the man intend to carry it on his back and did so, which would make him culpable, because his intention was carried out. But even if he intended to carry it on his back and moved to the front, in which case his intention was not carried out, lest one say that then he is not culpable. It comes to teach us that when one intends to preserve the thing with little safety, and it occurs that he has done so with a proper safety, he is benefited by it, hence he is culpable. Anyway, of a truth it was said, there is a boretha. Whether it is said of a truth it was said, it is to be considered that so the halakha prevails. Ar Yehuda says the same rule applies to letter carriers. A boretha, in addition to it, states that so it is because the carriers of the government usually do so. Mishnah 5, one who carries out a large loaf of bread into public ground is culpable. If 2 persons do this together, they are both innocent, provided it could be done by one of them. If, however, they did so because it could not be done by one, both are culpable. Ar Simeon, however, declares them not culpable. I mean, that's fucking stupid. It's just like, if you had a loaf of bread that you could carry yourself, you can't unless somebody else helps you carry it. Because you could. If you try to carry a loaf of bread that you can't carry by yourself, it's this ginormous loaf of bread, right? Then you would get in trouble if you did the same thing and got a guy to help you carry it. Right? Because I guess the one loaf of bread by two has divided the work of one man and thus made it as if not working at all. Yeah, I mean, this is once again, it's nuts. I just want us to understand, like, when I'm not giving you the deep occult knowledge in this book, I'm showing you the asinine madness of it all. All right. Gemara said, Yehuda, in the name of Rab, according to others, Abaye said, and still others say it was learned in a Boretha. If of both men who carried the loaf, either was able to carry it himself, Armeyer makes them both culpable, but Yehuda and Simeon declare them both innocent. If of the two, neither was able to do it himself, Yehuda and Armeyer declared them culpable, and Simeon declared them free. One of the two, however, was able, and the other unable. All agree that the able man is culpable. Whence is all this deduced? From what the rabbis taught. It is written in Leviticus 4:2. If any person sin, etc., i.e., if he committed the whole deed but not a part of it. How so? If two persons held one pitchfork and threw grain with it, or a weaver's spindle and wove with it, or a quill and wrote with it, or a reed and carried it into public grounds, one might say that they are culpable. It is written, Ibid, if any person sin, etc. But if two persons held a date press or a log and carried them out into public ground, Yehuda said, if one of the two was not able to carry it himself and they both carried it, they are both culpable. But if either of them was able, both are not culpable. Simeon says, even if one alone is not able to carry it and they carried it out together, they are also free. For only referring to such an instance, the scripture says, if any person, etc., and it is plain that one is culpable if he performs work alone, but if two persons did one thing, they are both free. The master said, if one of the two was able to perform the work alone and the other unable, all agree that he is culpable. Which of them was culpable? Arhista said, the one who was able. As to the one who was unable, why should he be so? What did he? Said Hanuna to Arhista. Why not? Did he not assist the one who was able? Answered Arhista. Assisting is not of consequence, because if he alone is not able to perform the work himself, his assistance is of no value, said Zabid. In the name of Rab, we have also learned in a Boretha, in support of this argument, if one suffering from a venereal disease rides an animal, the feet of which are encased in 4 pieces of cloth, the pieces of cloth are not subject to defilement for the reason that the animal is able to stand on 3 feet. Okay. Why are they not subject to defilement? Was not 1 foot a help to the other 3? Hence, we must assume that one of the feet must be regarded as a help to the other 3. A mere help, however, not having any legal consequences, not become defiled, and as it is impossible to determine which one of the 3 feet is to be regarded as a help, all 4 pieces of cloth encasing them are not subject to defilement. Okay. Hang on. Right, and then this goes down for quite a while. All right, I think honestly, I think right here at at the 53-minute mark, I think we're pretty good. I think we can call it here. Whoops. At 170, at page 173, I think we got 178, right? 177, right? So that's pretty good. I think we're in a good spot to pause it from now. All right. Oh, I'm seeing some hearts go up. Somebody is warmly approving the performance tonight. You know, thank you so much. I know it's funky. To get tuned in, you have to be willing to really sit down and a book club format, a book reaction format can be pretty wild, especially when you're doing this kind of reading material where so much of it is just like the only reason why it's important is because of trying to understand where all this shit with the Jewish issue comes from, when none of us are having a horrible experience. Like, Jews are not being it's just like, my life's fine. I don't feel one iota bothered by them. But I do understand that many ways that our government works is because of their influence. And if not their influence, their outright loyalties. All right. We'll catch you guys soon. Peace.